And so once we have this in place, we can then use these standard graph clustering techniques. Here we're using spectral clustering. We're using if you're familiar with this, we're using the spectral clustering by Ng, Jordan, and Weiss. And we use a common approach where we determine the number of clusters based off of gaps in the eigenvalue spectrum. Again, I'm going rather fast here. This is not the takeaway that I want you to have of this talk. So once we have these clusters in place, we introduce this concept of defining relationships between the clusters themselves. And so what we want to do is examine how the livelihoods, that's the clusters of venues that we find, are related to one another. And so for each pair of livelihoods, we also compute a similarity score. And that score is nearly identical to the one that we use for venues, except now the bag of check-ins counts the number of times a user has checked into any venue within the cluster. And so this allows us to explore not just relationships between venues, but relationships between areas, which are aggregations of venues. It's kind of a hierarchical way of looking at decomposing a city. I went really fast through the technical stuff, so I'll pause here for any questions about the methodology. OK? Cool. So before I get into the evaluation, which in my mind is the most interesting part of this work, I want to note that we also built a website, livelihoods.org, that you can check out. Livelihoods.org is essentially a showcase of the clusters that we've built using this method. And so what we have is interactive maps for several cities where what you can do is, so here this shows the livelihoods that correspond to the Soho neighborhood of Manhattan. And so what you see is these nearby, the dots are Foursquare venues, and nearby dots of the same color represent a cluster.